Was good. Though show. Once again, hope you had a good Memorial Day. It's time for a little Dungeon World today. We're doing the 7th episode of the Saga of Broken Blades. Our Viking-themed Dungeon World campaign. And the shit has well and truly hit the fan. Glad y'all are here. Appreciate y'all hanging out.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Maybe scoot you guys over to here so we can remember how hard the shit was hitting the fan. Seventh episode. Saga of Broken Blades. Where were we?
Miller just rolled 100d6 to determine how many zombies were in the cage.
Good.
Miller is currently wrestling. Well, I shouldn't say Miller. Oscar's currently wrestling a burning zombie to the ground.
It's an orc
The
berserker.
zombies.
There was an orc.
Yeah. I'm sorry, yeah, it was an orc. The rest of the orcs are retreating back into the forest. They just left us with one word. Tonight. And then they opened up these cages that they dropped off, and some unknown number of zombies have started shuffling out and towards the town. As Etta, Bruce, and Sigmund look on in terror.
So on the 19th day of spring, the Lug Dog orcs assaulted Ozthan. Gorga, the orc war chief, revealed that he indeed has not only Mundi hostage, and presumably Mundi's cache of weaponry, which him and his Raven Council collected from the village. He's also got Hedri from long ago, the pre-first session, as a hostage as well. And indeed the orcs are leaving, having hauled in wrought black iron cages filled with something very terrifying to those of Norse beliefs, the undead themselves, harbingers of Ragnarok itself. Pretty spooky. And they of course have unleashed these undead to wander presumably toward the village of Odstad. And Oscar, along with Volan, were fighting with a berserk orc who's actually been burst into flames now, if you remember that. There have been at least one fire set by the orcs in Odstad. The villagers, though there aren't that many of them in any case, stripped of weapons, don't really know how to fight, have never, in some of their cases, seen orcs in their lives. Only people who were around, well, no, everyone has seen orcs, that's true, but as far as fighting them, that would have been held down by people like Bruce's departed father, Bercy, people like that. Orcs certainly not a common occurrence around here. The last time someone seen one was a decade ago. But they are retreating. The undead are starting to meander out of their cages. They aren't exactly like 28 days later style. At least not yet. They seem to be kind of shambling toward anything that's alive. And you can even see as the orcs are leaving, like an undead might shamble too close to one as he's leaving, and he might just like check it, knock it to the ground, and keep on going as it, like, you know, slowly tries to stumble back up to its feet. And yeah, Gorga did say to, I think it was Bruce actually, tonight. One of the few words that I'm sure Gorga, the Orc War Chief, can even speak. And this ties into, of course, Edda's quest, right? To discover the truth.
Indeed, Edda is questing to discover the truth of the Lugdog orcs because something just seems suspicious.
Well, what is
them.
the particular suspicious thing that you all discovered? I believe it was Oscar who initially discovered the suspicious fact.
It was that orc and man tracks were found in a field, stood side by side in collaboration and not in battle.
Bada bing. So that's about where we are here in episode 7. And we talked a little bit about this before we got started, but y'all did have a planning session between sessions, which I think is excellent. Probably help you out a lot, and you should keep doing that. Especially because we were talking about how Dungeon World and the world systems in general literally allow the players to shape the campaign that they want to play. Whereas every other system, for better or worse, requires a certain degree of railroading because you can't make stuff on the fly very easily. Whereas Dungeon World is all about making it up on the fly. So by having, planning sessions I always recommend for any tabletop group so you can like have an idea of what you're trying to do the next session. But it's particularly important for world games because y'all really do control the campaign. Whereas like in your usual tabletop game, like I'd have a dungeon that I've already prepared. I've got my wilderness encounter tables. And then really it's all about y'all going to the place I already made. Wherein in this, like we could have a session where you come up with a dungeon out of the blue and then I make it and populate it all during the session with no pre-planning at all. So but what do you do?
Well, we're gonna try and remember as much as we possibly can about what the undead are like and whether we can work out or remember something to help us in this situation.
Alright, so let's do it scene by scene because I like how we've been doing that. So let's talk about, we got scene 1 here, and it sounds like we're starting at least with Sigmund for sure in the scene.
That's right.
Who else is here?
Bruce is there.
Oh, Edda's there.
Edda's there as well.
Okay, so I'm guessing that scene 1 is happening this general vicinity. Yeah. What's going on?
So, before Sigmund tried to rack his brain to see if there was any lecture or course from his training in Yugathwaite that could have given some insight into the relationship between the orcs and the undead working together, but couldn't recall anything at all.
Alright, so you're recalling a failed move you'd just done, right?
That's right.
Alright.
So,
what does Sigmund look like while he's pondering that?
He's essentially...
You're kind of standing in a calm place in the middle of this melee because the orcs are leaving. The undead have started to shamble out, but they're not close to you yet. So you can kind of look around and survey things a bit.
So with even though there's space between Sigmund and the cages of the undead, he's kind of tentatively stepping back so that he can look at the cages, that he can look at the undead as they're coming out, see what their movements are like, and he's calm but is understandably anxious. But on the
But he's
surface,
keeping his cool.
ultimately, yes, trying to not run away and to keep his feet firmly planted, to think and observe and try to see if he can relate anything. So
In your photo that you use, the dude's smoking. Is Sigmund smoking?
no, he's not.
So
His
he
hands
owns.
would be too his hands would be too unsteady to roll anything decent.
Gotcha. So he's actually scared, but he's trying to keep his cool and look around calmly. And he's racking his brain. Do I know anything about orcs knowing black magic, or orcs being somehow tied into the end times and Ragnarok, or what could be happening? What else is going on? Ed and Bruce are there as well.
Well, I think Sigmund
Edda
was
had,
going for a move there.
What move?
I was going to spout law. And I was going to spout
Okay,
law
so
about-
you hadn't done that yet. I thought you said that you rolled it last time and it failed, but
Well, that was about a different
I got you.
piece of knowledge.
I
But
got you.
this is just thinking back to our understanding of the undead as they exist in this world using my bardic lore.
Cool. So let me go ahead and pull up the move itself, because I always like to be able to share with the class here.
Hopefully, this will be one of the semesters where it wasn't, completely all over halfling pipe leaf.
Alright, so Sigmund's rolling a move called Spout Lore. When you consult your accumulated knowledge about something, roll intelligence. You can spout lore anytime you want to search your memory for knowledge or facts. You take a moment to ponder things. The knowledge you get is like consulting a bestiary, a travel guide, or a library. You get facts. Sometimes the GM will show you how those facts are immediately useful, but otherwise you just get some facts. And if you get a miss, it's going to deal with the time you spend thinking. Got it?
Got it.
Alright, so let's roll the bones. Ooh.
Was this spout lore or was this a bard move?
It was just spout law.
Okay, I'm asking for my notes.
Yep, he rolled a spout lore, he got an 11. That means that not only do you get facts, but I will tell you how they can be immediately useful. And in particular, he was looking at the cages, thinking about the undead. I'm going to take a moment to ponder this myself. And this is something that I've been kind of bad about, is not slowing down and taking enough time to come up with, like, really dank responses. Because it's not like we're in a hurry. Sigmund, having been raised in the tradition of the bardic historians, living in Ugathwaite, a fortress deep in the Volker Forest, was of course, as part of that tradition, educated in mythological beasts and monsters, particularly those that would be harbingers of the end times of Ragnarok. He remembers in particular, well, hang on, let me think of something useful for the current situation. He remembers reading a history of these lands before they were settled by men. And in particular, a description of these undead being cut down like lumber. In that, one, in some myths, when these lands were tamed, they had to be almost reclaimed from these undead. And two, in battle, the undead show no real spirit, inclination, will, or cunning. They can truly just be mowed down. So Sigmund remembers reading through a alleged mythological history of these lands and knows that they were perhaps tamed from these undead, and that these undead are known to, as you can kind of see, not have a huge amount of agency and can easily be herded around, mowed down, things like that. Boom.
Damn.
What do you look like when you remember that?
Sigmund is slowly teasing out the information as it's coming to him. So there's no revelation, there's no bolt from the blue. It's just very meditative, very slowly saying that he remembers that the lands had to be tamed.
What was the name of the book that he read that had to do with that subject?
It was probably the oldest book that he read, and it wasn't in good repair. But
You
it
don't
was
even
called
know.
Curiosities.
Curiosities.
No. Curiosities was one of the words that remained on the spine of the book. And
Ah, nice.
It
Nice.
just rubbed off, as it were.
I love that. The book's so fucked up you don't even know what the title is. But it did have the word curiosities in it. Does he share this information? Does he look surprised, scared?
So Sigmund is speaking out loud, almost declaring it in front of him, knowing that Ed and Bruce are by his side, but not.
And what do they look like right now before we hear what Sigmund says?
Oh, Ed is terrified.
Bruce's eyes are narrowed. He's looking for an opening or a strategy that he can employ.
I said Bruce was looking for opiates. I was like, good God.
He's stumbling through looking for some poppies.
They haven't been invented yet, but I'll let you know. So Bruce is kind of guarding. Edda is, what, distracted
Etta
and
is
afraid?
open-mouthed.
Yeah.
Open-mouthed, gaping at the undead.
And Sigmund looks a little bit the same. Similar. Maybe not open mouth. But Sigmund tells you. What?
Oh, sorry. I thought that was an incredibly dramatic pause.
It was.
I mean, it turned into one.
Sigmund turns to Ed and Bruce and says, from what I remember reading about the undead, and I think it's the same undead that we're dealing with here, is that although there is a large number of these undead here, historically, they don't add up to much. They're easy to mow down. They don't really take any matters into their own hands. We should be able to trick them, and we should be able to overpower them. The history isn't covered because he thinks it's not important. He's just talking.
He gives them the
practically,
tactical info.
just straight away, not spouting any exposition about, well, long before Ardstad was raised,
He
Just
reins
straight
in
into
his
it.
storytelling nature, to keep it brief.
Mhm.
Etta,
Just the
Bruce,
facts.
how do you react? We're still in scene 1 here. We got a nice shot of you three together. We got a nice shot from Sigmund's perspective of him looking around. We also get Bruce and Etta, their various reactions. Then we flash to a flashback to Sigmund, maybe a younger Sigmund, reading through this dilapidated book in a stone chamber, poorly lit. Then we flash back to present day with Sigmund. It's almost like I would say that the way the scene worked out, like Sigmund was like maybe because reading without reading to yourself didn't. This is a mind blow. People didn't read silently until the 1500s. So Sigmund's sitting there probably quietly, at least, mouthing the words to himself, and then that, I imagine, just transitions to him to like saying the rest of the exact phrase in present day, and then here we are.
Well, Bruce, almost like he's getting snapped out of whatever trance he was in, he hears the histories, and he's got a sword that has his ancestors in it. He's going to reach up and touch his sword and see if his ancestors have anything to say about dealing with the undead.
Sounds like a fighter move to me.
Sounds like an heirloom.
So, Bruce Jotunsson's blade, Hringir, has the spirits of his ancestors within it, his signature weapon. And when he leveled up, one of the advanced moves he took is right here, Heirloom. When you consult the spirits that reside within your signature weapon, they will give you an insight relating to the current situation and might ask you some questions in return. Roll Charisma. On a 10 up, you get a good detail. Otherwise, you get an impression, and then, of course, if you miss, we all know what happens then. So, what does it look like when you consult the spirits in Hringir to an outside observer?
He draws the sword and he kind of looks deeply into the blade as though he's going to see their faces in it.
I like that. Because I even like that because maybe if he keeps his blade in good enough condition, he can see his own face in it, and then that like turns into the lineage, you know? Like there's a dude behind you, and then behind him, and then behind him, and they're getting bigger all the time. The ones at the back are tall enough to see all over the later descendants, you know? Because they used to be giants, supposedly. I like that. Roll it up, man.
Back to form.
Alright, so this is another situation where I want to take a little bit longer than I normally do so I don't make so much of a snap decision. But on a miss, I get to make a move.
Hey, you know what we didn't do at the start of the session?
What?
Heal each other?
That's true, you didn't do that.
We can we can still do that.
You can
Well,
create an
everyone's
opportunity to
reflecting
do
at
that, maybe. Yeah, she secretly heals them.
Everyone's staring blankly into the distance, and Edda starts patching up.
Now, if we remember correctly, Bruce's ancestors are not exactly pleased with him, right? Do you remember the last time you consulted your ancestors in your blade? What happened, Bruce?
I got headbutted.
Because they were not pleased with your conduct, right?
Indeed.
Bruce mystically contemplates the lineage he can see reflected in his blade, leading back to the days of giants. The most immediate in line is Bruce's father, who perished defending Odstad from orcs some decade ago. He kind of conspiratorially looks over his shoulder as if what he's telling Bruce, he's not exactly supposed to be telling Bruce. He kind of looks left and right and he says, "My son, you have not proven yourself worth the knowledge of our forebears. And I do not think they will share it gladly with you until you have proven yourself a giant in spirit as well as in name. I'm sorry, my son." What was your father's name? Do we know?
Give my notes real quick. I don't see my father's name. Oh, there it is. Hori.
Hori. Alright, so Hori lets you in on that. And if you're curious mechanically, it essentially, I mean, you can probably piece this together, but just so we're crystal clear, heirloom's probably not going to work until you do something to impress your forebears. You feel me?
Yep.
And if you want to take it to the next level for anyone who's trying to learn how to be a Dungeon World dungeon master, the actual GM move that I used there, and again, Dungeon World makes a big deal about, oh, never reveal this. That's stupid. Especially if you're trying to learn how to be a dungeon master yourself. I use turn their move back on them.
You sure you're not revealing an unwelcome truth?
Could be that too. It kind of falls into both, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I guess maybe I probably turned it back on you more when you got headbutted. But yeah, I did reveal an unwelcome truth. See, look. Zeus has learned how to DM right from that. We're still on scene 1 here. That was but a moment of Bruce gazing into his blade. Is Etta doing anything?
Mm-hmm. Feeling a little bit better about facing the horde of undead.
How does, well, real quick, not to interrupt you, but how does Bruce react to what just happened to him so he can visualize it?
After he sees the image of his father fade from his sword, he still just kind of stares into it. You know, he's a little stunned that he actually heard his father's voice, as opposed to just, because every time he's used it before, it hasn't been actual words, it's been images and
yeah, I think you've never rolled above a 9.
Right.
I think this is the first time you nailed it.
So he is kind of in shock that he heard his father's voice again, and now he's starting to contemplate how he's going to change his behavior.
Etta.
Etta's feeling a little bit better. Not quite as shocked. She's able to shake it off a little. And she takes a moment to maybe take a few deep breaths and steady her nerves, and is going to steady the undead as they shuffle out of their cages, looking at just the details of their movement, what they look like, maybe who these men were.
So in the amalgam of this scene, we see both Sigmund and Etta kind of examining these undead as they come out, and it's kind of cool because Bruce is just looking into his blade, like completely not looking at him at all.
If you didn't know Bruce, you would think he was just some dumb meathead.
Yeah,
he's just blocking his view of the zombies.
But I love that because he's literally going on this mystic journey into his forebears, but to outside observer, he just looks like an idiot man at arms staring at his weapon.
Checking my hair before I fight zombies.
Yeah, exactly. You're like turning it left and right to be like, all right, is my missing tooth looking good? Nice. So is that a move you're trying to trigger?
Angling for some discern realities, yeah.
That's what I figured. Nice. So discern realities is a basic move. Anyone can do that. And I like to bring these up every time, just so we stay clear on them. Did you goof?
Oh no, I got a 12.
Oh, you already rolled? Alright, so when you discern realities, you're closely studying a situation or person. On a 10 up, which is what she just got, she's going to get to ask 3 questions from this list. And she's going to be able to take +1 forward on actions related to those answers. Now, I want to talk about discern realities a little bit here because 7 sessions in, I think we're getting to the deeper understanding of it now. And by that, I mean, let's see. You have to have the time to discern realities, which you do. And it's not just about noticing a detail. It's about thinking about the bigger picture. So the DM is always telling y'all the truth. But I don't have to tell you everything about it. So the example they give is that imagine there's a kobold mage staying down at the end of a hall. If you discern realities, you can figure out that the reason is his energy comes from the room behind them, so he can't actually approach you. So that distinction can kind of make sense. You can use discern realities to try to define the truth behind illusions. And sometimes the questions just don't have an answer. Like there might not be anything useful or whatever. In that case, I just tell you nothing. Something we talked about a little bit though is that when you're asking these questions, it's totally fine to give me a little bit of a nod toward what you actually are looking for. If that makes sense. So, like, just off-the-wall example of what I'm saying is, like, if you're asking what here is useful or valuable to me, and then you were to say, like, you know, I'm kind of looking for X, Y, and Z, while I'm under no obligation to have X, Y, and Z be there, it's not a bad idea, because if I don't see any reason not for that to be there, then I don't see, you know, that would be a totally acceptable thing for you to get as a result of that move, if that makes any sense.
Well, if you don't mind me hijacking, one of the things we were contemplating was heading to the lumberyard and looking for lumber. So we'd be like, discern realities, we're looking for lumber or a hillside that we can roll it down to try to take out the zombies, for example.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you were in that area and you were like, what here is useful or valuable, in particular, this, and this. Exactly, yeah. So, that said, what are the questions that you want to ask?
What here is not what it appears to be.
And this is in particular out here on the de facto battlefield, right? The fields outside of Odstad here. What here is not as it appears to be? Let me contemplate that a moment. Is there anything here that is not as it appears to be?
Specifically, Etta was studying the undead themselves, comparing to what she thinks she knows about them. And just looking for anything odd and particular about them that stands out. That gives you a little bit more of an idea.
No, to Edda's eyes, everything that's going on here, though horrific and tragic, seems to be pretty much straight up and down. The orcs
Okay.
are actually leaving. The undead are actually shambling out of their cages, getting closer and closer. The only straggler in the orcs you can see, you know, glancing off in the distance, and keep in mind not tons of time is passing throughout this scene, but you can still see Oscar and Volan engaged with one orc, but the rest seem to be hightailing it. Gorga and his hostages got out of there quite a bit ago. They're on the map still, but we all know that they left. You can see smoke rising from a fire or two in Oddstad itself, but all that seems to be just what you believe it to be.
What about Vaka? Is she dead, or is she now shambling towards us as well?
Nah, she was ripped into pieces as an appetizer.
Her head isn't like slowly dragging itself towards us somehow.
Well, it might be being passed around, but no.
Oh.
She hasn't gone Evil Dead yet, but don't give me any ideas. You don't have her hand crawling up your leg yet. But
How about who's really in control here? Specifically looking at the zombies, thinking maybe one of them is some sort of leader.
think about this one for a moment.
They're
Who's
being
really in control
controlled
here?
by anything outside of them.
Let me make a quick note that you got.
That's a good one, I think.
This first scene is action-packed.
All in the space of 5 seconds.
I know. That's what I love about this. I always love doing tabletop games in scene format, even no matter the system, because that's really how they work out. Like sometimes you'll have like an hour of gameplay be like seconds in game, and unless you like frame it like that and remind each other of that, it's kind of hard to remember. Like, oh shit, this is just bam, 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 even though it took a long time to think it up.
Episode 7, Chapter 1, mostly looking and thinking.
Yeah, exactly. Like the Pulp Fiction like cards that come up, it says Chapter 1, looking around and thinking. Okay, so the first question, I'm just making notes for myself. You asked, actually, I don't need the direct answers here. That's for you to remember.
Yeah, I'm writing detailed notes.
Cool. So you asked the first question. Your second question was, who's really in charge here? Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Think about how I want to reveal this one to you. Orcs are not common to these lands. In fact, except for the one raid some 10 years ago on Oddstad, the orcs, the other mongrel races, have been, for better or worse, pushed into the Volcar and kept there and in lands beyond. So she is no expert on orcs, but she has heard no real tales of orcs using the sort of black magic that would be required to raise such terrifying, shambling things. So Edda has had her suspicions from the start that Gorga might be in charge of the Lugdog orcs, but he's definitely not in charge of whatever this entire situation is. Who is really in charge? That one's hard to say. No one that Edda knows of.
So you're saying Edda suspects that the undead are being being raised by somebody else, not the orcs themselves.
You got it. So that leads her to believe that someone else is running the show here. That was your third question, right?
That was my second question.
Okay.
Let me think for a second.
Now I feel like that one was kind of obvious, though, even without the discern realities.
I think my last question will be, what here is useful or valuable to me?
And by here, we're talking about out here on the
field where we stand.
Well, let me think about things that would be useful or valuable to Edda. There's no food laying around on the ground, so.
Edda doesn't need to eat, so.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, let me ask myself
technically,
first.
the food is hiding it underneath that menhir stone.
Would there be anything useful or valuable here? The only valuable things, if there are any, would be in the tied to the belts of, or something of any of these departed orcs, if there wasn't even anything valuable. Useful things. Those cages could be useful in a variety of ways. I would say it's probably the most useful thing around in this area would be cages are always handy. Yeah. So useful, it's got to be the cages. Valuable, nothing I can immediately see, but if there were anything valuable, you'd have to look through the inventories of the Fallen and things like that. But orcs aren't known for their valuables. But that's your discern realities, right? That was the third one?
Yes.
Alright. So everyone got a chance in that scene, so maybe we should start scene 2. How's that sound?
Yeah, sure.
What's scene 2? I think it's probably
time for
over.
the beatdown.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's probably over with Oscar.
All right, I came up with 2 plans of action, so let's let the die decide which.
All right.
Nice. You're diaphading yourself.
Okay.
So describe the scene we're opening up to with Oscar here.
So we cut back over to Oscar, who had, at the end of his last scene, had pinned the orc's wrists to his chest and had mounted the orc after having a little bit of a flame lick his face and scorch him a bit. And we open up here with Oscar looking back at Baldry, kind of just seeing him stand there and just disbelief that he is not doing anything and just kind of frozen up.
Frozen in fear.
Yeah. So he yells back at Baldry, "Brother, you need to snap out of this. Come over here and help me with this orc." Grab a rock and smash his head in.
You do the same damage die even if you're unarmed.
Oh, nice. I actually have the exact HP for this guy, too.
Baldry or the orc?
The orc. How much he had left. Alright. So, Oscar calls out to Baldry, his brother. Right?
Yes, his
And
older
he's
brother.
like, "What are you doing just standing there, grab a rock and attack this thing?
Yes.
Baldry runs off.
Okay. In response to this, Oscar will then attempt to change his grapple on this orc, roll up behind him, and put him in an arm lock.
They're gonna do jujitsu on the orc berserker.
Yes.
Wasn't he on fire?
Yes.
Well, in order to do any moves on the on fire, pinned to the ground berserker, I'll go ahead and give you the benefit of the doubt that maybe he's not on fire all the way down to his ankle where Volan is so enthusiastically chewing. But I feel like we do need a little defy danger here. Would you agree with that?
Expected. Yeah, because
Nice.
last time I hit him in the face with his torch and his head went in
Now let's talk about your jujitsu move. This sounds like you might be doing a hack and slash. Is this correct, or you got some other thing in mind?
I'm defying danger into a hack and slash. Yes.
That's why. Yeah, that's what it looked like to me. I just wanted to make sure we're on the same page. All right, cool. So defying danger is acting despite an imminent threat, or if you suffer a sudden calamity. So this takes place if you're like trying to run down the hall of the scissoring blades, or if you cause an avalanche of snow on yourself all of a sudden. It's either sudden or sustained. On a 10 up, you do what you do, and no threat. Otherwise, I have to offer you basically a shitty deal. I've been kind of reviewing all the moves as we use them today. So, this actually makes perfect sense right out of the description. For example, hack and slash assumes that you're trading blows in battle. You don't need to defy danger unless there's a specific danger. For instance, if that person's on fire.
And really only because I'm basically hugging him.
Exactly, yeah. And then it goes into as well, you can, as you can see, you can pick what stat you want to defy danger with, and it's wise to try to pick something you're good at, but you have to be able to describe it in a way that makes sense. The example it gives that you can't get across the icy floor with your charisma, since smiling at the floor doesn't do anything to it. So, though maybe I can make a floor that you turn it on with your charisma and it gets hot and then it starts to melt. Yeah. Anyway, so how are you defying danger here?
So I had already had him pinned and I had him mounted on his chest. So I'm moving that and like forcing myself behind him.
You're defying the danger of the fire. So are
Yes.
you?
I'm just basically any move that the fire is in.
Yeah,
In the past session, I'm just ignoring it. I'm going through it.
All right. So that would sound like to me would probably be Constitution, because you're enduring the flame.
Yes.
So we'll see a defy danger with Constitution. All right. So off a 7, that means I basically have to make you a shitty deal. Let me ponder this one a little bit too.
But don't forget your experience.
Nah, he didn't fail.
What? I didn't feel.
Oh, yeah.
He almost
You're
failed.
And the other one was just
Seven.
a 1
Seven
up
is
2.
barely squeaking by.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
So, the orc berserker's blazing from shoulders up, essentially, looking a little bit like Ghost Rider, and with the Luke Dog war paint and the dirt and filth crusting this berserker. I think we talked about his mutation. He had like a horn grown out of his head. I can't remember exactly.
He had another arm.
Oh, he had 3 arms. That's what it was. Yeah. Flailing with his 3 arms. The fire is spreading rapidly, meaning that in order to stay in this type of contact with this pinned berserker, you're gonna light up too. And Volan's fur is probably pretty apt to light up too. But you can hang in there and get your move off, but you're probably gonna catch on fire.
I'm on fire.
You're already on fire?
No, I'm on fire. That's my answer.
Okay. We'll deal some initial damage off that. So roll me a d6. Oscar feels the flames beginning to lick at and catch in his hair, but perseveres despite. Now tell me about this hack and slash you're trying to roll.
Just a side note, I don't have any hair.
Not anymore.
I was bald to begin with.
Well, now you gotta lose your eyebrows.
I was gonna say you got a beard, eyebrows, chest hair, arm hair.
No, he's an eel.
That doesn't reveal into season 2. You're cutting.
That's a half elf.
Half elf, half eel. It was a misprint. Tell me about this hack and slash you're trying to do, though.
So, as I said, I was putting him into an arm lock, and I'm going to attempt to dislocate or break his arm.
So you're gonna try to get this into a fair fight and break the third.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I'm doing this to his left arm. Let's say that.
His left arm.
His upper left arm.
Nice. Roll him, man.
Oh yeah, and I needed to ask you. The fire is not mitigated by armor, correct?
Right. So you rolled a 5.
Yeah.
On that hack and slash. Kind of rough. Let me ponder this one for a moment, because this is my time to make a move.
Now don't forget your experience.
Yeah, I pinged that in there.
The berserker turns into an immolator and you die.
While focusing on the berserker's upper left arm, Oscar doesn't really get to train with too many opponents who have more than 2 arms. That third arm creeps in and allows the berserker to roll into the mount, taking the top position and pinning Oscar now. Both of them increasingly erupting in flames. Volan, let's go. He's not going to catch on fire. Let me make a quick note. Okay. Are we sticking with this scene, or are we cutting to something else?
You tell us, Oscar.
I'm gonna yell to Edda.
What do you yell?
Well, at least Bruce is on his way. I don't know if the other guys are.
So, what does Oscar yell, though? Describe it to me. You've got this 3-armed berserker who's essentially taking you down with him. I mean, at this stage, you're both going to burn to death.
Yeah, looks like it.
Volan has hopped back a couple paces, and he's frantically almost stepping back and forth because he can't do anything. But his master is going to die right there.
So in this moment that I'm preparing to yell to Edda, I'm sensing that I need help. Bolin runs over to Edda to kind of even more so nudge her over to me for assistance.
So
Bolin
runs toward the trio.
Yeah, run towards the trio, and as doing the best that I can, trying now to wrestle my mount. Now I'm gonna just yell and just help.
Yells for help. Alright, sounds like we're coming into scene 3 here, so let's set it up. And I heard Bruce was hauling ass toward the situation, so maybe we'll start scene 3. We see Bruce running in to do what?
Bruce is going to immediately start looking for imminent threats to the town, so that would probably be the burning orc on top of Oscar first, because I don't think the zombies have closed up on it yet.
Bruce looks across Odstad and he sees folks, some running frantically to and fro, some carrying axes now, taken from the lumberyard, others hiding, either inside their hut or behind crates, barrels, whatever they can find. Smoke rises from buildings in Odstad in 2 or 3 places, including one building that's on fire right by where Oscar and the Berserker are tangling. So as far as threats, you'd see that a couple places are on fire, including one right by Oscar. But the orcs are pretty much cleared out now, except for this one who, you know, can't really leave. And then the undead are, let's say they have shambled to, I don't know, maybe about an arc like this area here. So they're getting close, but they're not there yet. So Bruce runs in.
Yeah, Bruce would run in. Would I have to defy danger to get past the zombies, or do you think I can make it to the orc?
Let's defy danger as you run past the encroaching undead.
Right.
How do you run past or potentially through them?
You still have Fringir drawn from his attempt to commune with his ancestors, so he's going to run and maybe try to take a couple with him, but more he's just trying to cut through to get to Oscar in the most direct path possible. So
sounds like a defy danger with strength.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Double check my modifier. Bam.
So Bruce charges through this encroaching arc of the undead, simply carving through the 2 or 3 that get in his way with Hringir like so much cordwood. They just drop, carved in half, to make his way to where Oscar and the Berserker are entangled. What's next?
I would attempt to cut this orc off of Oscar and get close to him, but never announce my presence, so I could kind of keep the orc by surprise.
So you're trying to stealthily charge through a horde of the undead, cutting them in half?
No, but I mean, there's a lot of commotion. I'm not going to yell at him and be like, Oscar, or whatever, you know.
Well, you run up and do what, though?
With ring gear, trying to make it cut across the orc from a bit of a distance.
So you're going to toss ring gear at this orc?
No, ring gear has a 10-foot range, remember?
Yeah. Yeah, it hits people farther away than it seems like it should. Is that what we decided on? Yeah.
Yep.
So it sounds like you're trying to hack and slash the berserker.
Right.
But can you see the problem with that?
The berserker is on top of Oscar.
Correct.
But if Oscar is underneath it, I can cut the top of, like, cut his arms.
You could try.
Could he defy danger?
You could.
Like with dexterity?
That seems like what he's describing to me.
Yeah.
The hack and slash is going to happen either way. We're just determining whether or not you're able to not hack and slash Oscar, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Let's see the... Yeah. So with that defy danger, we're going to make a bargain. Let's see. I think the obvious bargain is, while Bruce is in a great position to attack this berserker, he's also in an equally good position to attack Oscar. And with the two embroiled in a grapple as it is, it's going to be tough to contain the blade to just one participant. So if you do your hack and slash, it will affect both parties.
So, by not doing the hack and slash, am I then able to sheath ring gear and try to yank this orc off of Oscar, or just beat the crap out of him barehanded?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it'd be another defy danger to be real, but yeah.
Right. That's what I was shooting for. So, defy danger strength then?
So you choose not to attack.
Yeah,
Sheaths,
I
he like
could probably kill him.
he like sheaths his blade like reluctantly. It's like, and it sounds like that would probably be a defy danger strength for what you described. Way to defy danger 3 times in a row, just.
See if I succeed. Oh, and I do.
So your goal is to pull the burning berserker off your friend.
Right. Pull him off, try to throw him back a couple feet.
Alright, so you're not trying to hang on to him. You're trying to...
Right.
Alright, and you want to toss him, what, into the fire?
But that would be helpful.
Into the burning building? So he can burst out of it like Shredder and Ninja Turtle? Describe it to me.
So, we'll have the camera up on Oscar's face, and this orc's lunging towards it, and he suddenly just feels the orc get yanked off of him, and he sees Bruce standing over him, and the orc just goes flying into this burning house that he's laying next to. And Bruce's arm extends to help him stand up.
Nice.
That was much needed, Bruce. Thank you.
Ed is running over. Boop.
Sounds like it might be time for another scene here. Because have that nice one-liner from Oscar when he gets picked back up. The Berserker's been tossed into the burning building. That was metal as hell, JC. Going on with scene 4.
Hold on, I'm catching up with my notes. 1 second.
Oh, good. Now, it's not like
Well,
you can't deal with this Berserker, but we're cutting to another scene. So tell me about scene 4.
I'd like scene 4 to be Etta not too far behind Bruce's heels, catching up with him, but running to Oscar.
Yeah, they're all right there.
Yeah. I mean, mechanically, I'll try and heal him. But I think I need to put him, like, put the fire out first, I would imagine.
Baldry's even jogging back holding an axe from the lumberyard. He did one better, Oscar.
Yeah. Glad. Because there were gonna be some. There's gonna be some family fighting. You just ran away.
Oh, I thought about doing that to you. Oh, I thought about having him not come back for another spooky reason.
I mean, basically that's happening. He's like, "Well, you grab a rock," and he's like, doesn't say anything, just leaves. I'm like,
Later.
Comes back with an axe, though.
Comes back
And
from
now
the
he's
woods with the
He's gonna
perfect.
kill Oscar with it.
Yeah, starts chopping up his brother. Said you're trying to heal Etta, right?
Yeah, but I would imagine I'd have to get Oscar not on fire first.
"Yeah, I forgot I was on fire too."
Yeah, I would assume that part of Bruce helping you up would probably be beating out the flames real quick, you know?
Okay. So we can all assume Oscar is no longer on fire.
Yeah, you guys don't have to like dive into water like Minecraft or anything.
Unless you want to call that an aid to the heal.
You don't.
I'm trying to figure that out. I was like, how does that work?
So, tell me what Etta's doing here in scene 4.
The lore I have of how paladins heal is that, you know, we're not pretty little clerics who just put our hands over someone and pray for their goodwill. There has to be some sort of blood, sweat, or tears involved in it.
Well, seeing as
So-
my clothing is likely scorched, I
Yeah, I mean, you've got
what's left of my shirt.
you've got plenty, but Etta's she's gonna bite her thumb and make it bleed, and wipe the blood on Oscar's burns as she prays for his healing. To the god of war, Tyr, as a man who's proven himself brave in war, she prays to Tyr, heal its wounds using her own blood.
This is risky. If you fail, you both get a bloodborne disease.
They haven't invented AIDS yet, don't worry.
Hold on, just making sure I roll charisma. Okay.
Because she's using a move called Lay on Hands. It's a paladin move. Right? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, it's a paladin move.
Now, if she does well, she has to touch someone skin to skin and pray. That's all she has to do mechanically. And since she rolls her charisma, then she gets a 10 up. It's going to heal a D8 or remove a disease. If she gets a 7 through 9, though, they're going to be healed for this amount, but that amount is transferred to her. And then she fails, who knows what could happen.
Oh, I totally nailed it.
Alright, go ahead and roll the healing too, 1d8.
As Etta's blood touches Oscar's burns, it stings, but
I'm
it just
so sorry,
immediately
Oscar.
scabs over, and that's
It
it.
just scabs over.
Maybe it works on like one of the burns. Hey, it's better than nothing.
I don't feel much better at it, but thank you.
It's the thought that counts.
It's good sentiment.
We'll try again later. Maybe when we're not in the heat of.
In the heat of battle. Alright, that's it.
If I move, I'm throwing Oscar into the fire.
What's scene 5 then?
Well, as he's...
You probably want to
welcomingly
deal with this
greeted by his
berserker,
opinion.
right? Before I make you deal with them?
Yeah, whose house is this? Or is this anybody's house?
Whose house is it?
Well, I remember where my house is. I know where Bercy's house is. I know where Moondy's house is. But that's all.
What-
That's all I can remember.
But why does that matter?
I can
Well, it
tell
could be
you
like
whose
just a
house it is.
storage shed. It could just be a house. It could be, I don't know.
You have to apologize to the person. Who,
Yeah, he's got to go fill out
Yeah,
their
sure.
insurance. form.
Works for us, house.
Orcs in your house, it's your problem.
Go find him. Here, go deal
By
with
law of the land, it's your issue.
I'll tell you his house is.
I was just
Give me
trying
a
to figure out
second.
if it's a house or if it was just like a storage shed or something.
Yeah, it's a house. It's Saga's house.
Oh, we don't care about Saga.
It's her house.
I kind of want to just bend bars, lift gates on a partially ruined house and see if I can just drop it on his head and finish him off.
Do it.
Why do you only kind of want to do that?
Well, I guess my question is more along the lines of would dropping a house on this guy's head kill him?
No metagame.
I mean, if he's trapped inside the house, he'll burn to death eventually.
I could see using Bimbar's lift gates to do that. It's pretty creative use, so I like it. So yeah, you could. I could see that happening for sure.
I'm
And there's lots of great ways that I can ruin
Put
your
me
life
inside
with
the
it too. So
Yeah.
yeah, go for it.
So I'm thinking like the fire's sweeping across the house, and there's only a couple pillars really that would be holding it.
Yeah, this house is pretty much fucked. It's tough to discern the status of what I say the other two fires, but hopefully people took care of those. This one's been a little tricky to get near given the circumstances.
So I'll say that the Bruce is just gonna like shoulder check the outer wall and see if he can just crunch the whole house down.
I like that. Let's see what happens.
But first, Oscar, or says, Bruce, you should make sure you hit this pillar. It is mostly charred away.
Sounds like an attempt for aid to me.
No, it's an interfere.
Because he's lying. It's actually the most solid one he wants you to fail.
It's inside the house, so it'll fall on me.
Yeah, exactly. Alright, so roll that aid first. That's a really good description for an aid, too. So with the 7 through 9, it's that you do add the +1 to his roll, but if some fucked up shit results of that roll, you're exposed to it as well.
Like you laid your hand on the pillar.
Well, I was gonna say, well, probably I would imagine that Oscar would help you a little bit.
Okay.
I'm touching.
You
the
would
wood
both
that is-
shove. Yeah,
So that is still a +1.
you'll get the +1 off it. Yep, for sure.
11.
So that's a complete success with Bimbar's lift gates. I don't really
I would
see
destroy-
3. I know you want it doesn't take a very long time of your 3, but the other ones are kind of up to you.
We'll say nothing of value is damaged.
Good. I was hoping you'd do that one for poor Saga.
I only broke the part of the house that needed.
Every single time I see you can fix the thing again without a lot of effort, and it's something like this, I want to know how it would happen. But I guess we're already making noise, so let's do that one.
All right.
Her house is made of Lincoln logs.
What is it again? Read it for me one more time, please.
So the 3 that we're taking are: it doesn't take a very long time, nothing of value is damaged, and it does not make, or no, sorry, you can fix the thing again without a lot of effort.
So the way I'd
Okay, thank
imagine
you.
that translates is like Staga's heirlooms aren't fucked up. And as far as fixing it easily, I'd imagine that like maybe you surgically take out just what you need to drop it, but it would be pretty easy to just push the frame back up into place and rebuild. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're kind of like
He-
pushing it over instead of
he-
collapsing it per se.
He drops dust to the burning part of the house so that the rest of the house doesn't continue to burn. Something like that.
Yeah, kind of like that. Maybe you
Yeah.
Okay, it's a
Shut-
controlled burn.
you shove the burning part off onto the berserker. I like that. So it's kind of like a burned chunk of the house missing that you've shoved away from it. That's like laying on the ground, smoldering with the dead orc in it. I like that.
Oscar and I high five at the end.
Good job.
You guys high five. You don't do some sort of manly. Oscar has like smoke rising from his body. Like he's fucked.
Yeah, I'm not very charismatic or very social person, so yeah, that's it. Good job. High five.
Yeah, I don't know how much I want to touch him. Failure might be contagious.
The rest of the denizens of Odstad are beginning to panic and flee toward the center of the village, given the encroaching undead who are right by your side. What do you do?
I feel we need a
Well,
quick. Oh, go ahead.
No, after you. After you.
Oh,
need a
was
break?
Just no, I was just gonna say in character, a quick huddle to decide.
Well, I actually have
how we
to
wanna handle
pee
these
if you
zombies.
guys want to have a quick huddle. It'll be like less than 5 minute huddle, but I have to go pee, so I'm down for that. You guys down to have a quick huddle?
Yep.
Alright, I'll be
Yep.
back in less than 5. I just gotta pee. Alright, y'all, let's take a short intermission here because I got pee really bad. And that'll give the players opportunity to think about their fate. Appreciate everybody chilling. It is the O Show, as always. Got Dungeon World going today. We got shows the rest of the week, live by 3 p.m. Pacific, like you're used to. Tomorrow's either going to be the last Battleground stream of the month, or we might switch to Arc tomorrow. Because Bean is going to have some free time, and so she might want to jump in on that. Arc's going to be the main game. Next couple months or so. But I plan on, if I can make it happen, playing Battlegrounds once a week and doing tabletop once a week here on the stream too. Not all of that may work out, but that's what I'd like to see in June if I can make it happen. So we would have, on average, we'd have 4 Arc streams a week, 1 tabletop stream a week, 1 Battleground stream a week. Anyway, appreciate y'all's support. Appreciate everybody chilling. If you ever want to help out these intrepid adventures, you can always use your experience points to activate the Die of Fate. We can talk more about that when we get back, but let me take a little quick break here. Ping is complete. Gaming begins.
Though,
Alright, I'm
so
done peeing.
in case he's in any danger, you feel me?
And wait, in defense of who? I missed the name.
Of Sigmund.
Gotcha.
So were we or were we not using the Menhirstone?
We hadn't decided.
Scene 6.
We have a couple ideas. Let's see how it rolls. Let's see how it goes through.
Yeah, we got about 50 minutes or so left here.
I think we'll wrap up what we have planned in that time.
What's our scene here? Scene 6,
Are we
episode
starting
7.
Scene 6 with Sigmund then?
So Sigmund is previously keeping an academic distance between the burning houses and the berserker.
An academic?
Yeah.
I like that.
And it's,
Predetermined distance.
and is still keeping an eye on the undead and is just slowly walking towards the rest of the party. So going over to Bruce, Ed, and Oscar.
Let me enter an interesting complication to this, and that is the fact that you will now, at this stage, need to pass through the undead to get to them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really.
You don't need to,
Okay.
Sigmund.
Well, in
You
that
can
case,
just
yeah.
run towards your.
Well, in that case, yeah, I don't need to. If it's going to be difficult for me to get to the party, what I'll just do is start the plan without discussing it with the party.
We know. We'll figure it out.
I'm sure I have faith that they're as clever as me. And we'll
Well, we
work it
talked
out.
about it before we changed scenes.
In the back of his mind, everyone's like, "All right, initiate Plan Z."
Just like we practiced.
Yeah.
And Sigmund takes out his, I think once played, maybe twice played.
I think you've played it 2 times, and every time you've touched it, it's been quite intense.
Alarming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, third time's a charm. Sigmund takes out this fiddle and he tries to play the highest, shrillest possible note to attract the attention of the undead horde. Now, I don't know what move that would be,
Well,
or even if it is a move.
you do have an ability called Arcane Art, and that's weaving a performance into a basic spell. But your goal is just to draw attention to you, right?
That's right.
Well, you could just do that.
Alright.
It's not very difficult to get the shambling undead before you interested in you. For instance, you're made of living meat. And they love that.
So...
So you don't have to
Keep it
play
like
the
that.
fiddle if you want. You could just get close to them and be like, "Yeah, come here."
Well, in that case, Sigmund obviously knowing that he is made of human meat. And
Delicious
just,
human meat.
Suddenly, yeah, realizing what he is. Still playing the fiddle, moves towards, but still not completely next to the horde of the undead, playing the same note over and over again just to make sure that they associate the sound with this walking bag of flesh. And I draw the attention, and Sigmund walks back towards one of the cages as he is playing the instrument. Let's say this cage here.
Some of them definitely break away and start following you. So we'll say you got a nice little chunk here following you.
Yeah. So I would keep on playing, and Sigmund tries to climb on top of the cage, and just carries on playing in the hope that he will attract more attention.
And
to
this
Aid.
is where the lovely Defy Danger comes in. Because there is a little crisis point where you're getting into position, isn't there?
Yeah.
So, what
And
ability are you angling for your Defy Danger, I guess? Because there's only really
Nice.
two I can think of. I can only really think of using Strength or Dexterity.
You wouldn't give me int. You know,
I
but,
could if you did a specific like trick to try to like lure them, because you're luring them to you, right? And then you turn your back to them and to climb up on a cage. So for a few moments you can't move lateral anymore. You're gonna be moving up, and then that's when they get you.
Yeah.
Well, seeing Sigmund start to climb, Oscar readies his bow to defend if need be.
I think it's gonna have to be dexterity. I think I'm gonna have to trust my my light sinewy frame.
You just try to fling
So,
yourself up there as fast as you can, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like that Oscar mentioned he was watching, because he could potentially come in with a called shot and save the day. You never know.
I guess we're about to find
Let's
out.
see what happens.
Or is he rolling to stand in defense?
Ooh, a ranged defend out here.
Range defend.
Let
Yeah,
me
being caught
look
what I
at
was
it
doing.
and think about it.
Yeah, I was going for either one there. I
Because
was
called shot is a no-brainer on that one. No pun intended, but
What about even an aid? Because he could be taking out zombies as they're coming close to him.
yeah, I could definitely see that too. That's so one option would be to aid to try to give him a +1 to his roll. Another option is to try to build in an insurance policy. Let me just take a look here. Nah. No range defend. It says defending something means standing nearby. So I can't give you the range defend. But
Alright.
you could do an aid, or if I should pull up ranger here real quick. Let me look at the called shot. But I think I could give you that one too. Yeah, defenseless enemy at range because they're not paying attention to you. So I could give you called shot or aid, but defend specifically says you gotta be nearby.
Well, I'd say Sigmund is dexterous, but he's not the most dexterous character, so I think any aid would be appreciated.
You want to do that, Oscar?
I'm lining up a shot, if anything, should manage to grab hold.
So you want to do called shot instead of aid?
Yes.
Alright. So Sigmund glances over. He sees Oscar watching with an arrow knocked and drawn. But he's going to try to do a called shot in case you blow your roll instead of giving you a +1 on the actual roll.
Alright. Cool, so that's just 2d6 plus modifier, right?
You got it, 2d6 plus whatever your dex is.
Which is a big fat 0. Here we go.
So that's not terrible. Take a look here. I'm pondering. Alright. I'm not gonna this is a hard bargain, right? Sigmund quickly shoulders his fiddle and nimbly climbs up this wrought iron cage. He feels that tug of pressure that he was hoping he wouldn't. And he looks down to see one of these creatures has grabbed onto your pouch of halfling pipe leaf dangling from your belt.
No.
So you can climb up onto the top of the cage, but this undead will attempt to eat, and then angrily discard your stash.
He won't smoke it?
He would if he could.
Light it for him, Sigmund.
Could you get a zombie high to help your parlay with him? I'm not sure.
I mean, this is a personal sacrifice, but for the greater good of Ardstad, I hope that they acknowledge and
Your fallen
commend
buds.
the sacrifice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yes.
What
The
you're saying
puns.
is it better be worth it.
I
So
think I'm gonna
the-
have to lose it.
So Sigmund clambers up on top of the cage. The zombie in question does try to take a healthy bite out of the little package before tossing it on the ground, realizing it's not delicious meat. And you do have some, but not all, of these undead beginning to start to crowd around the hors d'oeuvre on top of the cage.
So since that zombie did grab him, can I use my shot that I lined up?
If you
I
want
just saw
to.
the zombie.
Yeah.
I just saw the zombie reaching for it. All right.
I mean, the most
Well-
you'll get out of it is you could take down a zombie, or well, let's do this. Let's give you opportunity to take them out, and then if you do, then it prevents the loss of the Kron. All right.
Well, yeah, I just see the zombie reaching up, and I'm like, all right, that one.
Yeah.
So I can either choose to hit him specifically somewhere or just deal damage. So I'm just dealing damage. I'm like, that one. Get him. So as he sees this zombie reaching up towards Sigmund, the Oscar's arrow at the ready immediately lets that thing fly with.
Oh, so with called shot, you could just deal damage without having to roll.
Yeah.
You only roll if you want
Or-
the extra effects.
Yes.
All right, cool. So yeah, damn, you should have said something. I didn't realize it was a no roll event. So in that case, you
Yeah,
don't
that's
lose
why I was
your
like, if he's getting grabbed, I'm
yeah,
fucking
you don't
killing
lose
him.
your chronic because well, it depends on how much damage we come in with here. Let's check the fate of the chronic here.
There, it's a 6.
Nope, you still lose it. It's not enough. Sorry. So, but it is an interesting scene because Sigmund sees that this zombie has latched onto what it hopes is a part of him. Fortunately, it wasn't. Then immediately, an arrow right in the zombie's dome, going right through his ears. But it doesn't really. He doesn't pay much mind to it, so you still lose the pipe leaf. But at least Oscar tried.
Damn.
The arrow redirects his grasp. To the
Wasn't quite enough to bring him down. But your plan seems to be working to some degree. It's not like they holler at each other like, yo man, there's some food over here. But the ones that do notice and the ones that are closer to you do start to coagulate over there.
Well, it is probably a particularly tasty flesh or hunk of meat. She's covered not only in her own blood, but Bruce's blood, and now also Oscar's blood.
Jesus.
So, what's left of the undead horde that hasn't yet followed Sigmund, Ed is going to
So we're on scene
Attempt
7
to-
here.
round up.
And what do you mean attempt to round up?
Her goal is to get all of the undead horde left to follow her, and not to go into the town. So if that means that Etta needs to sort of run around a bit to get all of their attention, that is what she will do.
I don't really see a need to do a move for that or anything. It would be relatively easy to get them to pay attention to you.
Yeah, it is going to round up everyone else and run towards... how is it looking if she runs towards the same cage that Sigmund is standing on? Is there enough of a horde that it would be, like, difficult to also jump up on top of that cage and add to the distraction?
You definitely got to roll something. Because his cage is now surrounded. So you'd have to go through them and then climb up on it.
Versus the other cage where it's more just climb up on it.
Yeah, all those orcs and shit
Yeah.
are gone. You guys knew that.
Yeah.
The pieces of vodka have mostly been distributed and consumed, so. At least she was tasty, Bruce.
I think Edda's gonna take her half of the horde to the other cage. Seems the wiser move to do.
Alright. Again, that's pretty easy to do until it gets to the part where are you trying to climb
Where I
on
have
top?
to climb the cage.
Yeah. That's where it gets a little tricky.
So I think Edda would just... Despite the grasps of the undead as she's hauling herself on top of the cage, I think that she would just try to endure it and yank herself out of their grasp. So I don't know if that'd be strength or constitution.
Well, you said the word endure. So I'd say that'd probably be defy danger with constitution.
Oscar, seeing a
All right.
duplicate move, readies another arrow.
Very good.
And starts to plan his next move.
Don't worry, I'm good.
So Etta even takes a little bit of her time climbing the cage. And those undead foolish enough to try and grasp her have their fingers broken, hands ripped right out of their wrist, arms torn out of
Yeah.
their sockets. She doesn't give
Take
a fuck.
that. No.
They just
Using their
slide.
heads to boost
Yeah,
up
I was gonna say,
onto-
put your boot on one of their heads,
Ah.
boost yourself up on top. Alright. That's what a defy danger with strength looks like. So we have an interesting tableau here. We have some smoke from smoldering fires coming from Odstad. We have terrified villagers. Some foolish enough to hang around and watch, but most tending to their folk, the damage, figuring out who's alive, who's dead. No one is touching any of the dead orcs or any of that at any point right now at all. No one cares about that in the slightest. And the heroes here are seeing if they can't deal with these undead that have been brought into the fray. So we've got Sigmund on top of one cage with the undead congregating around him, and then we've got Etta following the same idea, getting on top of the other cage, getting most of the zombies around the two of them. Now, to be totally real, like, there's definitely a handful here and there, but I imagine we probably see in the background Bruce and Oscar helping Herd, I'm sure. So I can see it being feasible as you getting the attention of all of them. It's not very cinematic to sit there and be like, well, you gotta kill this one. So yeah, over a little bit of time, you're able to get them all congregated around one or the other cages.
Now, Etta specifically wants them in the cage.
Yeah, how can we herd them into the cages? You want
So
our
she's
ultimate goal?
she's
Well, that's
she's
where
gonna-
Oscar springs into action.
Oh.
And Oscar and Volan run around to the back of Edda's cage where the zombies were shuffling towards her, and kind of clang along the back of them and trying to draw them in.
Wait, what now?
Standing on the other side of the cage.
So let me do this. So try to imagine this. We got this like encircled basically, and then this one
Encircled?
Yeah.
Not that they were moving from where they were already at. That's what I figured they were up against, kind of like the front, the gate area.
Nah, they're just trying to get as close as possible. So they'll get there, and then they just kind of slither, and then they get hung on this for a while, and then maybe that one never makes it, but this one over here, oh, he's real close. Oh, he's reaching up. They're not like intelligent, so they kind of just move toward things, and then if they hit a barrier, they just slide along it indefinitely. So maybe a couple, drift in here and there, and then once they're in, they can't really figure out how to get out, but. Does that make sense, though?
Yeah. Edda's going to try and attract more of them to get into the cage by dangling her legs through the bars.
Are you?
Yeah.
What would you do if someone tried to, like, eat your leg there?
I'd kick them.
So you want to try to defy danger's strength there?
I think so.
To lure them in
Let's
with
do it
your
again.
delicious meat?
Mm-hmm.
Alright.
Operation Pied Piper is about to take a very dark turn.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
I did it again.
Wow.
This time instead of a 4 and a 6, I got a 6 and a 4 though.
Okay, give me just a sec. Pushing fate here tonight.
Only someone else in the audience would also push some feet.
No one's spending their XP on y'all. What are you, crazy? So Edda is able to begin to encourage the zombies around the cage she's stationed at into the cage itself by very... Like, that's an amazing scene if you think about it in a TV show or something. She, like, kind of looks around, and then she lowers herself down to kind of dangle a leg in the cage. Maybe even, like, stretching it out a little bit through the front, like, come get it. A few start to come in. Maybe one grabs a hold of it, so she, like, kicks the side of his head off. Jerks the leg back, a few of them come in, and then she kind of rinses and repeats. And over time, she does begin to lure them more into the cage. Now, again,
Probably a few scragglers.
yeah,
Can't quite
this is
figure
never
it
going to
out.
be a perfect operation, but you begin to lure them in. Because
But
again,
most
keep
of
in
them-
mind that they're not going to like uniformly stand in the cage. So they're going to be getting in each other's way. You might like kick one and then he falls back and knocks 3 others out into the grass, and then they take 3 more minutes to figure out how the hell they get back in. So it's like, it's touch and go, but it is possible for sure.
But most of them are in the cage, yeah?
Now, this is taking time, though. So my question is there anything else happening simultaneously to this?
Well, credit where credit's due. I really like JC's idea, and I want to see if we can implement it. Could Oscar and I be carving up the orc corpses and start chucking meat into the cages to get even more zombies into the cage?
If they like orc
we don't-
meat.
I don't need to be carving them. Just hack off a leg real quick and toss
Yeah,
it.
I'm not talking about prime steaks here.
So you guys want to start chugging orc parts into the interior of the cages themselves?
Right.
There's this conveniently located dead orc by where you're standing. You could toss it into Sigmund's cage.
Yeah.
This
Sigmund isn't
this
gonna
can be viable, but
usually,
we'll definitely take dice rolls because of the fact that you are meat and you're carrying meat. So if that gets close, that is much easier meat than the meat on. You get me? So you
Meat
are
for
going to
y'all.
become immediately much more interesting. Because you're on the ground, you got extra meat, it's bleeding. You feel me? So it definitely takes the dice rolls. And you could completely screw the pooch if it failed, but is, again, a possibility.
Well, Oscar will grab the.
Why
orc
don't you
that he
use the
killed.
parts of your dead girlfriend, Bruce?
Because they're over on the giant zombie board.
Mhm.
I think those parts have mostly been picked over too.
Well, Oscar will grab the orc that he had killed. Bruce, protect me while I move this orc into Sigmund's cage.
Doesn't Oscar have a tool that could be used to send projectiles from one side of an area to another?
Are you talking about shooting pieces of meat into the cage
That's
with
exactly
his bow?
what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Definitely.
It's
You
a
As
could,
an
creative
option.
idea, Sigmund.
I mean, it's called a shish kebab.
You've got this dramatic scene of Etta dangling her legs, and then it cuts to Oscar with this orc arm
Shish
on his
kebab.
bowstring.
Nah, he takes little pieces at a time here. Easy.
Yeah, that's it.
Skewer the orc arm. All right.
I mean, you could take like bait-sized pieces of meat and shoot them as arrows if you wanted to. That's also possible.
Well, I will take care of getting orc into Sigmund's cage. You can take care of getting orc into Edda's cage.
All right.
So what do you do?
I've got him in the cage.
Give me
Almost
All I
a-
need you to do is
give me-
close the door.
Give me scene 8 here.
So, scene 8, I'm assuming, is going to be split between Oscar shooting orc chum into the cage, and Bruce is going to be closing up, killing the straggling zombies, and trying to literally bend the bars to close the cage up and keep the zombies held inside.
So Oscar is. I don't really see a need for a roll on filleting
No,
pieces
but
of an
I'll
orc,
describe it.
and then tell me what it's like.
So, he does not have a blade on him since the backstabbing Mundi has taken all the blades. The bastard. Oscar motions over to Volan, and he thinks to himself, "Volan, I need chunks of meat off of this." So Volan comes over, tears into this orc's leg,
Oh,
and spits out chunks for me to skewer onto my arrow. So I take them and pierce them along my arrow, and line up my shot.
And I mean, you can flawlessly shoot, no problem. It
Land
weighs down the arrow a
squarely.
bit, so maybe it takes a few tries to get it dialed in, but then you're able to start getting it in there.
So as I arc it up, it swings, comes from above Sigmund, goes to the bars, and lands on the bottom of the cage.
Meanwhile, and it cuts to Bruce. What's going on there?
Bruce is stomping towards Edda's cage, and he's cutting down the few straggling zombies, and when he gets to the gate, he's just going to kick it closed so they can't exactly overpower the gate. And he's going to try to grab the bar and bend it to a crossbar so it can't open anymore.
I like it. Roll them.
Do you want to defy danger, or did you want to just do the...
Edda's gonna try and keep these zombies, keep their attention, so that Bruce is able to concentrate his full effort on bending these bars.
Yeah, how it will work
here.
mechanically is you're gonna have to defy danger to do your bend bar lift gaze. And it sounds like Edda's trying to aid your defy danger.
I'm trying to aid. Mm-hmm.
Got it. So roll your aid first. You remember how to do that, right? Just 2d6 plus bond.
Yeah.
But bondage, yes, roll bondage.
Roll your bondage.
No, that's Apocalypse World.
Ah,
Well, that
You got a
means
7?
you just enough provide a +1 bonus, but if Bruce is exposed to some cost, you too will be.
okay. It's the price you pay.
So Etta does like hollering and dangling her legs and all that she has been doing to try to keep the attention on her, while Bruce goes in to try and bend the door into place. Now, how are you doing that first? As far as defying danger goes.
Well, the defy danger, I'm assuming, would be getting towards the cage and then avoiding their bitey teeth. And
So what does that look like when Bruce is doing it? So we can have some insight on what stat it is.
he's going to be like punching them away, kicking them away towards the back of the cage,
Throwing elbows.
Yeah.
Coming in with that Hringear pommel. Alright. So it sounds like Defy Danger's strength. And don't forget your +1 from Edda.
Oh,
Nice.
Wow.
don't bend the cage. I just collapse it down.
Yeah. So you get a bend bars, lift gates with 3 off of the menu.
Doesn't take a very long time. Nothing of value, aka Edda, is damaged, and we can fix the thing again without a lot of effort.
That's what I was thinking actually, because I was like, man, I hope he picks that, because then they could like open the door again. Yeah. Otherwise, it being broken permanently.
15, Jesus.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm catching up with the notes. Will you read me to me one more time the 3 things?
Doesn't take a very long time. Nothing of value is damaged, and you can fix the thing again without a lot of effort.
It's fucking cool. I like the look of that.
And Bruce makes it appear that you can just bend metal effortlessly.
Yeah.
Like pretzel it.
Oscar looks over and thinks, man, I could do that.
Multi-glass.
Well, I will point out that Sigmund can see that what Oscar is doing is seeming to have no effect on what the zombies are interested in. They're still all about you. Maybe they don't like orc. Maybe they only like to eat what they once were.
Or maybe they only want to eat it if it's alive.
All kinds of possibilities here.
Sigmund, jump in.
Metal hurling.
Just so you know, I was just pointing that out. I wasn't necessarily saying you had to do something. But we are at scene 9, so I'm curious who's in scene 9 and what's going on. You can take a moment to think if you want. We got we probably have time for like one more scene. This will probably be the last scene because like 3:45 right now, and I try to make sure we're good by 4 so that Lewis doesn't have to stay up all night.
Well, now that we have this door shut, both Ed and Bruce are more available to run over and do something.
This is a true statement, though I would probably say it would take some... It would take some sort of defying danger from Edda to successfully get away from the cage. But beyond that, I think you'd be good to go.
Okay.
Though... Nah, probably not even that. Because the cage was made so that if you're on top of it, they can't reach you, which you've probably noticed unless you stick your legs in. So if you were just standing on top, didn't do anything fucky, just went and hopped off, or I don't see any chance you'd be able to get.
Can I ask the totally metagame question here?
What?
If we were to head back to the town, collect up all the axes we could find, and arm the townspeople, would we be able to overwhelm these zombies?
Not without casualties. But yes. But just with casualties, because you're working with peasants with axes versus jihadi animals, basically.
Yeah.
I feel like no, I won't rush to do this because that is learned that rushing to do things is a bad idea. But she ponders aloud to her group the idea of rushing past the zombies into the cage to draw them in, and then having Sigmund help her pull her out from the top.
You can fit through.
I couldn't fit through? Okay.
It's like wide enough
That's good to know.
for your leg, but not, yeah, because then the zombie, if it was that wide, the zombies would just be
True.
coming out. So leg, yes. Whole body, no.
Or we could just mow down the undead that are left around Sigmund as he keeps them distracted as much as possible.
Yeah, how would that look in terms of dice, Dave?
Like, are we trying to...
I don't think you could do it. I think your luck would run out and you would die.
Okay.
If you tried to individually hack and slash a large number like that. Because what's the highest level of you?
2.
And then how many hit points do you have now?
I have the most at 18.
What are you at right now? 18?
Yeah.
So like,
we're all pretty
just
beat
think about it mechanically. If you're hack and slashing that many foes, how many failures would there be? And then, even if I was kind with those failures and didn't make all of them be damage, actually no, with hack and slash I don't have a choice. It has to be damage. And then they're rolling like a d6 to be nice, so they could be hitting you for like 6. It's risky, but you can sit there and try to 1v1 them for sure. I'm just saying the dice would eventually turn against you for sure.
Our other ideas included throwing things at the zombies, like we have that menhir stone close by.
It might have to be a cliffhanger till the next session.
It might have to be.
Mondi's house is very flammable.
Does anyone want to make any
And
moves?
it's open.
I would like to heal, so I would probably plop down with the little brief respite that I have and use my poultices and herbs.
I can let you do that for now since you don't have like a pressing danger or anything.
That will be my last use.
But I think maybe we should cliffhanger it. Because it seems like you guys don't have a solid enough plan of action that we can execute in 10 minutes. But it will give you opportunity to have another planning session before next time. I think we'll wrap it up here. We'll do end of session. And then we'll play again. A couple things. Number one, I think the session was probably one of the best ones we've had so far in terms of y'all like knew what you wanted to do ahead of time because of the planning session. Everyone was kind of flowing right into their moves, no problem. People were using their class moves. It was all very good. One thing you'll notice is for a couple sessions, we've all been on basically the same day, which is cool. That happens sometimes. But keep in mind, too, that when you're not in like directly dangerous circumstances or what have you, we can also like pass time. Like for instance, like let's say next session y'all travel, we might pass like multiple weeks of time in an instant because you're traveling somewhere. So keep in mind, I would say time scale, just because it's easy to get used to being in real time if you've been in real time for a while, or it's easy to get used to being in like, all right, this is 2 weeks later, all right, this is a week later if you've been doing that for a while. And keep in mind both are possible. But today was savage. It was like badass cinematic. You still have tonight to deal with, whatever Gorga meant by that. And you still have a cage to deal with here. But let's jump into those end of session questions here. That's under moves, isn't it? Yeah. Does anyone feel like that they resolved the bond?
Not for me, no.
Doesn't sound like anyone does, right?
Mm-mm.
No.
Sigmund's misguided behavior endangers their very soul. Still seems true.
Did anyone fulfill their alignment?
I defeated a worthy opponent by throwing an orc into a building and dropping it on his head.
Is that your alignment? To defeat a worthy opponent?
Yep.
Well, you did, yeah.
I'm not sure about mine, but I'm thinking no. It's perform your art to aid someone else.
You aided the whole town.
I'm just being modest, I suppose.
Trembling, helpless townspeople avoided having their village raided by the undead.
Yeah, but there was no
Okay.
bardicness to that, so no, you don't get XP. Anybody else?
Well, I didn't uncover any of the truths that were uncovered, so no.
And edit no alignment.
Reveal a dangerous lie? No.
Alright. Ask some questions as a group. Number 1. Did we learn something new and important about the world?
I would say yes.
What type of stuff did we learn this time?
We learned that the orcs aren't the ones who are raising these dead, and that there's must be some sort of third party involved here.
True. Though you guys probably assumed that already. What about the very beginning of the session?
Bruce has to change his behavior to regain contact with his ancestors.
Yeah, we learned that about the... I like that because it's not necessarily about the world at large, but it's about y'all's personal character's experience. What about Sigmund's move and his little passage from Curiosities?
It's true, we learned a little bit about how the undead were present a long time ago.
Yeah, at least in some myths, it's alleged that once these lands belonged to these undead, it was like you had to tame them back from them. Like it was just a matter of course. Kind of like how the orcs are starting to spread out of the Volker and now take over these lands as well. So we definitely did. So everybody mark an XP off that question for sure. What about overcoming a notable monster or enemy?
We still going with the Berserker?
Yeah, I would give credit not only for that, but you've pretty much successfully rounded up one cage of zombies. By the way, have you ever been in a campaign where you had to deal with cages of the undead? No, you haven't. And that's just some of the horrors to start coming your way. Anyway, you definitely get credit for this question. So everybody mark an XP off this one. And then the final is, did we loot a memorable treasure?
A
No.
cage full of
We
undead.
got a cage full of zombies.
You can just go plop it down at the end.
I love that too. You still have to deal with them. Like,
Not
how fucked up for the villagers of Odstad. Like, even if you get the zombies into the cages and you just leave them there, like, they wake up in the morning, they look outside, they see off in the distance just these, like, horrible, like, harbingers of the apocalypse itself. They smell
they're
them.
moving in.
Like,
They're gonna be Moondy's neighbors. We're moving the cage over there.
just put them in
To
his
forever
house.
remind you, Moondy.
Yeah, put them on either side of his windows. Here you go. Anyway, no memorable treasure looted, so no XP off that one. Hey, I guess kind of similar too, since you guys are hopefully planning on having planning sessions. Keep in mind that like your moves can shape the campaign world itself. So like, if you want to go into a dungeon and find loot, or if you want to go like anything, whatever you want your characters to do, whatever their goals are, however you want to see them develop and stuff, you can make that happen by using your moves intelligently to be like, all right, you know, this is over here, so we're gonna go here. Or keep in mind, I'll pull this back up for y'all, we've already developed like an insane amount of lore and an insane amount of locations in the world to go explore too. So keep all that in mind. Keep in mind that unlike most tabletop systems that you might be used to, where you are kind of going through a pre-prepared thing by necessity, in this system, you guys really do completely control like the game. Like, we could have a session where you come up with a dungeon out of the blue, we put it on the map, then that same session you go there and start exploring it, and I had no idea that was going to happen before the session. That's possible in this game. So I encourage y'all to, especially when you're planning and thinking about what you're going to do, keep that in mind so you can take advantage of it. I think we're done, y'all. Thanks for playing, and go ahead, figure it out for next time, and see y'all then.
That was cool. See you.
Alright, y'all, that's going to do it for another episode, Saga of Broken Blades. Appreciate everybody hanging out as always. Don't forget, we're going to have O shows all the rest of the week. Give me just one moment here. If you just look on the Twitch page, it actually has the shows for the rest of the week, but tomorrow is either going to be Battlegrounds or starting Arc one day early. That could change. Then Thursday and Friday are going to be Arc. We're switching the main game to Arc in June. It'll be that way for a couple months. Looking forward to that. I do want to thank these illustrious members of the 420 Club. I want to thank Kit Wu, Con Cat, Freeborn Pat, BeanChan99, Sabatum, Vodka, Lego Hog, Molly Harrison, Globe99, Matthew Miller, and Gatsby. Appreciate that support. Thanks for everybody's support as always. Thanks for hanging out, enjoying the O Show. And if you still want to watch some Twitch, I've even got your back on that front as well. Just click on my Twitch team, Higher Level Gaming. I'm sure you'll find somebody that you enjoy. We got some DayZ. We got some more DayZ. I have no idea what game this is. We have even more DayZ. And then we have some DayZ. And some GTA 5 roleplay. So if you'd like to watch some DayZ, just hang out. I'll let the auto host do its thing. Someone will magically appear before your eyes to keep you entertained. And then the O Show will return tomorrow, as usual, by 3 o'clock Pacific. We'll be fucking with either some Battlegrounds tomorrow or some Arc. We'll just have to wait and see.